Welcome to this Tutor to You Sociology topic video on culture and identity. In this video we're going to look at the impacts of globalization on identity. Globalization refers to the increasing interconnectedness of the world's economies, cultures and societies. This process, driven by advances in technology, communication and trade, has reshaped many aspects of life, including how people view themselves and their identities. In sociology, identity refers to the ways in which individuals and groups see themselves and are perceived by others. It encompasses elements such as nationality, ethnicity, religion, gender and class. As globalization brings different cultures and societies into closer contact, it influences how people define their identities in a rapidly changing world. In this video, we're going to look at how sociologists explain the impacts of globalization on identity, looking at concepts like cultural homogenization, hybrid identities, and global versus local identities. One major sociological perspective on globalization is the idea of cultural homogenization. This refers to the process by which different cultures around the world become more alike due to the influence of global media, multinational corporations, and the spread of consumer culture. While some sociologists argue that globalization leads to a McDonaldization of the world, where local cultures are replaced by a dominant global culture, often associated with Western, especially American, values and products. For example, George Ritzer used the term McDonaldization to describe how the principles of fast food restaurants have come to dominate more sectors of society, leading to standardization, efficiency and predictability in everyday life. This can be seen in the way people across the world adopt similar consumer behaviours, wearing the same brands, eating the same fast food, and watching the same films and TV shows. As a result, individual and cultural identities become less distinct, with people identifying more with a global consumer culture than with their traditional local cultures. Critics of cultural homogenization, such as sociologist Roland Robertson, argue that the impact of globalization on identity is more complex. Rather than erasing local cultures, globalization can lead to glocalization, where global influences are adapted to fit local contexts. For instance, while McDonald's restaurants exist in many countries, the menus are often tailored to local tastes and cultural preferences. In this view, globalization can lead to a mixing of cultures rather than a simple takeover of one dominant culture. Another significant impact of globalization on identity is the development of hybrid identities. As people are exposed to a range of cultures and ideas through globalization, they often blend elements of different cultures to create new hybrid identities. This is especially common among migrants or individuals who live in multicultural societies. Stuart Hall suggested that in a globalized world, identities are not fixed, but are always shifting and changing as individuals encounter new influences. He argued that people develop diasporic identities, where they combine their original cultural identity with elements of other cultures that they encounter. For example, second or third generation immigrants in countries like the UK or the USA may feel connected to both their parents' culture and to the culture of the country where they live, resulting in a hybrid identity that reflects multiple influences. Sociologists point out that hybrid identities are common in globalized societies, especially among young people who are often more open to adopting new cultural practices from around the world through social media, music, fashion and food. For instance, teenagers in the UK might listen to K-pop, wear American streetwear brands and celebrate local festivals, all while embracing a sense of belonging to both a local and global community. One of the key debates in sociology regarding globalization and identity is the tension between global and local identities. As globalization spreads, some people feel a sense of belonging to a global culture, while others react by emphasizing their local or national identities more strongly. Some sociologists argue that globalization encourages people to adopt cosmopolitan identities, where they see themselves as citizens of the world rather than being tied to a single nation or culture. These individuals may embrace the diversity of a global culture, value multiculturalism, and feel at home in a range of different cultural contexts. Ulrich Beck discussed the idea of a world risk society, where global issues such as climate change, terrorism, and economic crises create shared concerns that transcend national boundaries. As a result, people may feel a sense of global solidarity and develop identities that are more global than local. On the other hand, globalization can also lead to the resurgence of local or national identities. As people feel overwhelmed by the rapid pace of global change, they may seek comfort in their traditional cultural practices and emphasize their national or ethnic identity more strongly. This can be seen in the rise of nationalist movements in many countries, where people push back against globalization by promoting local values and resisting foreign influences. Giddens referred to this as a dialectic of globalization, where globalization leads to both the spread of global culture and the strengthening of local identities in response. In conclusion, globalization has had a profound impact on how people understand and express their identities. While some sociologists argue that it leads to cultural homogenization and the creation of global consumer identities, others point out that globalization also fosters hybrid identities and a blending of cultural influences. Additionally, the tension between global and local identities reflects the complex ways in which people respond to the opportunities and challenges of living in a globalized world. Whether globalization leads to a loss of cultural diversity or an enrichment of identities through cultural exchange, it's clear that the process significantly shapes how individuals and societies define who they are. That concludes this Tutor to You Sociology topic video on culture and identity, looking at the impacts of globalization on identity. Thanks for watching.